This video is an adaptation of the intellectual property of Professor BlackTruth and has been edited to fit this format. We're asking that you subscribe to all of Professor BlackTruth's social media to hear his excellent video essays in their entirety. Some scenes in this video contain instances of metaphorical violence, so please use discretion while viewing with small children. In other words, if you can't handle the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the B1 truth, we have a suggestion for you. Now you know. On with the show.
Wake up!
I told you about the hate crime committed by David Emanuel. He's a Florida racist who tried to run down 6 black men in Rosewood, Florida, which everyone knows was the site of the Rosewood Massacre. Well, it seems that this Emanuel creep was trying to reenact that particular crime with a massacre of his own. He tried to run 6 black men down while screaming racial epithets at them. That is a clear-cut case of attempted murder and obviously a hate crime. One of his victims, Marvin Dunn, owned some property in Rosewood, and Mr. Dunn was showing the location to some other black men with the intention of building a memorial to the Rosewood victims. He almost became one of them. Now, David Emanuel was arrested, but only for 6 counts of basically a general hate crime, and in July, a jury found him guilty on all counts. Kristen Clark's office had asked for a mere 5 to 6 years sentence for this criminal. The judge in this case was even more biased than Clark was. For 6 counts of a hate crime, the judge sentenced this would-be mass killer to 1 year in prison, plus an additional day for each of his 6 victims. This creature, calling itself a judge, wanted to make a show, and he said, "I do see that he," talking about this would-be race killer, "provided a lot of value to the community. I don't think he's going to do something like this again." So apparently this judge is not only a liar, he's a lying fortune teller, apparently. These judges, like these DAs and the police, they see themselves as support staff to these race terrorists. That's why I call them the irregular forces of white supremacy. And this is why we need specifically a black hate crime law specifically for us. We need for the punishments for anti-black violence to be the harshest in the country because we are the most targeted group in the country. There is no hate crime law that specifically covers black people, and there needs to be. Now, there's also another aspect of this that makes the sentence worse. You see, Mr. Dunn submitted a letter to the judge asking the court to show leniency to Emanuel at sentencing. You heard me right. He actually wrote a letter to the judge saying, "Go ahead and cut this race terrorist a break." And the reason? Dunn said he wanted the country to move on from racial issues. Quote, "For me, my faith requires forgiveness, and so I must." Forgive, 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 the slogan of the cowardly and the self-hating. This is the victim of a race attack who was almost killed by this piece of dirt, and this was what he was writing to the judge. There can't be any healing until there's justice, and justice means punishment for these white supremacists. And when you have off-code Negroes like this, they embolden the next race attack. We'll continue with the moment of truth in just a moment, but first, a word from the official sponsor of Black Empowerment, Power Tools. There's no telling when something's going to come up, so make sure you carry your power tools at all times. You never know when you're going to need to bring the hammer down, or when you'll have some trash that needs to be blown away, or some obstacle that requires cutting down. Don't get caught empty-handed. Keep your hammer close by. Keep that leaf blower at the ready, And always carry your steel. Power tools. Because no matter what your day job or side hustle may be, there's no excuse for not being ready to put in some work.
Don't you close your eyes.
Power tools. Too many times black people are trying to win brownie points with these white supremacists. Amber Geiger murdered Botham Jean in his own apartment in cold blood, and it was Jean's own brother who wanted to give that demon a hug in open court.
Finish him!
Straight to the depths of hell is where them caps go.
Now you have this latest episode of a black person more interested in currying white supremacist favor than they are with whether or not they survive. This is the reason why whenever these race killings happen, I'll make a note about it. I'll talk about the incident, talk about the offender. I'll reiterate the need for a black hate crime law, but I don't put on the cape for these victims. I'm not about to go on a crusade for them. I don't make an issue of it because too many times we have the families of the murdered or even the victims themselves who undermine our efforts. It's a shame that even in the 21st century, after all we've gone through, we still have Negroes out here who are more interested in getting a pat on the head from a pack of racists than they are with their own survival. They endanger all of us, but they don't care. They'll try to play the game until these white supremacists fire them or pull a gun on them, and then they'll be acting like Omarosa and these other bootlicks, suddenly acting like they realize, oh, these white supremacists are white supremacists. Well, I'm not rolling over for these white supremacists, and you better not be playing dead for them either. Yes, it's disgusting to see black people who at this late date are targeted by white supremacists and yet turn around and become advocates for them. But the way to push back against this kind of off-code behavior is to let people know there are black folks out here who are standing strong against it. By continuing to be selective with who we support, we show that we are serious about taking a hard-nosed approach to our power. No, we're never going to get rid of all of these off-code Negroes because there's no cure for stupid. But the same way we've made our voices heard on other issues, we can also continue to drive and influence the discourse on this one as well. Any black person who decides to advocate for a white supremacist is saying that they are in league with the white supremacists. And that being the case, they better hope their new pals speak up for them when things go wrong. Because they won't get a peep of sympathy from us. Good evening, and be one.
The struggle continues.
You are the original people, therefore you are the first. You are the elder. You are the stronger. But the people, they were fighting